Hello and welcome to another episode of Bushcraft Dave. Today I'm out camping and I've got with me a new tent to try out. So let's check out the OEX PHOXX 1v2. We'll have a little talk about why it's called the 1v2. It is in theory a one-person tent, but it's windy. Let's get it up and let's get inside it. Well, we're getting there. That back end is quite difficult to put in. I had to use a lot of brute force and it doesn't even feel like it's really in the centre. If anything, it's just the fabric is over one side. I had an OEX, I've got the OEX Bobcat 1 which I use quite a lot. I imagine that over time that'll become a little bit more flexible. The back end, the main body of the tent, no problem at all. Fairly easy to get that one in. Right, let's go and set up and put the outer on the rest of it. Alright, there we have it. The OEX PHOXX 1 V2. It's a really nice, sleek design. A bit like my Coleman Bedrock tent, very similar. Very, very similar in style. But yeah, let's have a look at what the outside features are. So we've got a ventilation point in the top that blows all the way into and through the tent and comes out. Ventilation point underneath where all the air can come through and out of. Yeah, I like it. I've put the short end of it, the feet end, into the wind, hoping that by that being the lower edge, the wind will just whip over the top of it. I'll maybe get some good ventilation coming in through the bottom. Yeah, I'm excited for a night's sleep in there. Let's have a look at some of the other things it says. 5,000 hydrostatic head fire retardant OEX tent. Right, let's get inside and have a look. And I'm inside. It is very low profile. I mean, it is not a dome tent, so it's not designed to really be sat up in. You get in, you sleep, and you're out. I mean, there's vaguely space to put my arm on my elbow, sit on my elbow, and vaguely sit up in it. When I dangle, there is a little hook to put your lantern on or a light on, but I mean, if I put my lantern on that I've got on there, it's just going to be hitting me in the head every 5 seconds. So there is not a lot of headroom in there. That's something to consider when you're looking at this kind of tent. But I'll tell you why I got this one. So I really like the OEX Bobcat one. I still love it. I'll still be one that I think about using when I'm off out on my travels and stuff like that. However, I did want an alternative. I did want to think about what other options are out there in terms of one-man tents. And there are reasons that I really like this one. So this one-man tent, so there was the PHOXX 1, and this is called the PHOXX 1 V2, the second version of it. And I think the reason that they've got a second version of it is that they've made it wider than the original. It is still only wide enough for one person to be in. If I was to lie down in this, there's room to put my elbows out either side of me, so I've got a little bit more wriggle room than I would normally have. And that's why I'm really like this one. So sometimes one-man tents can feel really claustrophobic. The Bobcat 1 tent, for example, when I'm in that, the fabric is really close to your face most of the time because it's very vertical. That gives you some nice height, and so there's advantages to that. But this has given me width, which is really good. I'm not going to feel really cramped. There's space at the head end where I could just put my rucksack, my bag, whatever. Certainly it goes a lot further at the head end than I need it to. I've got loads of space at the feet end. I mean, I'm only a short guy, so but there's going to be plenty of room in it. There's a little pocket just at the side down here. Hang on, let me show you. There's just a little pocket here to store your stuff. I did think for a minute there wasn't a pocket because there isn't a lot of room. So there you have it, the OEX PHOXX 1 V2. A wider version of the original PHOXX 1. Definitely enough space for me to have a good night's sleep in here. It's been windy today. I fear it'll be windy again tonight. And so having this tent that is a much lower profile, hopefully it'll be well protected from the wind. I've seen other tents around and about at the minute, some really big sort of 6-person, 8-person tents at the campsite I'm at that have already been really buffeted and have fallen apart. So that's why I'm really glad that I've got this with me today, so that hopefully I'll be here as all in one piece in the morning. The vestibule area at the front, let's have a look at that. Excellent. So there is definitely some space here. I can comfortably put my boots there. Probably even fit my, when I've got everything out of my smaller rucksack, my small backpack, I reckon I could probably fit that down there. But I could certainly think empty with all my stuff out of it. It can go at the head end of inside the tent. I could maybe leave my cooking stove out here overnight. And then this front flap, let's bring you inside, I think. Yeah, there's not a lot of space along the interior where the main flap is, and it's going to be coming in and out. But the good thing with having the gap like that at this side and at the other side as well, I mean, I don't think it would be easy to access the other side to store some stuff down there, but maybe I could. But realistically, your storage space is all around this side anyway. Yes, I like it. So there we have it, I'm in. I will get my airbed, sleeping bag, all of that stuff inside this tent. Bearing in mind that by having the airbed in and being on that, it is going to raise me a little bit off the floor and put me a bit closer to the headspace. But when I'm lying down, I reckon it's like probably about 1.5 foot of space above my head. Right, join me in the morning when I'll tell you whether I've had a good night's sleep or not. And we'll see whether the OEX PHOXX V2 is worth getting. Well, good morning. Oh my goodness, it is so cold. Oh, I am absolutely freezing. Oh, the tent has completely frozen over this morning. The skies are pretty clear, so I'm hopeful it will warm up soon. But yeah, let's tell you about my night's sleep in the PHOXX V2. I made a few discoveries during the night which are quite interesting. So, first discovery, and I don't know how I didn't see this before, there absolutely is a zipped section on the other side of the tent. So if I did want to store any of my gear out on the other side, I can do that as well. I move about a lot in my sleep. I'm never really particularly happy or comfortable in any position, front, back, side, whatever, and maybe the cold didn't help me to try and be comfortable. But as I was moving around during the night, I ended up sort of brushing against the underside of the inner, which pushed it onto the outer. And obviously, because it was a horrendously wet night, that did get wet pretty quickly. But it does keep out the breeze. It does keep out the wind. But somebody like me who's not particularly flexible, this isn't necessarily the best tent for me personally. Getting in and out of the tent is quite a challenge, especially on a wet morning or a wet day, to get in and out and to keep everything dry and stuff. It's not easy for me. If you've got good flexibility and maybe a little bit smaller than me, you'd be all right with it. What I have noticed as well is from the porch, which I've got sort of strapped up here, the wet is actually, if you have this up and it's still got a bit of dew on it or it's a bit wet, it does drip in to the tent, which is not ideal, but it's livable with because it's only a bit of drip. All in all, a fantastically well constructed tent, really quick and easy to pitch. It's not a bad weight at 1.6 kilograms. It's fairly small, compact. You could squish it down to next to nothing in your bag. I reckon probably with a big size rucksack, the small section that's at the bottom that usually you could put your sleeping bag in, I reckon you could fit this in, and the poles are next to nothing really. So it's quite a cool design. I quite like it, but I think potentially it's not for me, which is a shame. I think if anything, I'm just still, I just really like the Bobcat one. Oh yeah, that's the thing. So you obviously can't sit up in it, and for me and my back, that is not great. You'd think that lying flat on your back is probably pretty good for your back, and it probably is, but I quite like to sit up and I get really uncomfortable really quickly. So yeah, as a tent, fantastic, really good tent. For me, I'm not so sure yet. I might have to give it a bit more of a try out when I'm not freezing cold. But there you have it, my honest review of the OEX PHOXX V2. Thank you very much for joining me. We'll see you in the next one.